morning, everybody. I'm Marcella Riddick.
I'm Stevie Gray.
And we're getting on the road today for a super exciting one. I'm going to start driving and Stevie's going to tell you the sitch.
Yes. So we are in Glacier National Park. It is May. Most of the roads in Glacier are closed a lot of the time of the year because of ice and unsafe conditions. And there's this one road that goes through the entire park that's called Going to the Sun Road. And Going to the Sun is the name of one of the most apparently incredible peaks in the park. And the road was closed yesterday. And so we pulled up here. We were like, all right, that's fine. We weren't necessarily expecting it to be open. And then this morning we were at our campsite and just saw cars zooming down this road. And we were like, oh, what's up? And so we came up here, road's open. We don't know where it ends, so we're going to find that out together. We got 45 minutes on this card today. So we got 45 minutes to find out. We're here with our boy Walter.
Baby.
Last night, we'd been talking about seeing bears this whole trip, and I was like, dude, we're going to see a bear. And Marcel was like, no, we're not going to see a bear. And we pulled up into Glacier. We saw a bear, like, pretty quickly, just on the side of a road like this. And then we got into our campsite, and a bear pulled up into our campsite, and we got some cool pics, a little bit closer to a bear than I have ever expected to be in my life.
We were trying to go to the bathroom, and there's just a bear outside the door. I said, Stevie, there's a solid 30% chance that this bear is going to be right outside the door when we open this door.
And it was. And we did at least hear from somebody had talked to the camp host, and the camp host said that bears pull up to that site about 3 times a day. And so I guess to some extent that's comforting because we know the bears are chill with humans, I guess.
You don't mess with the bear won't mess with you for the most part, is our understanding. But oh my God, look at this.
So this is Glacier National Park. Why don't you talk about why Glacier is so special from an ecological perspective?
So Glacier National Park is not only a United States national park, it's also a Canadian national park in their system. So it's considered an international peace heritage site because it's both a United States national park and a Canadian national park, which is super fun. And that does mean that it crosses the border. And so it's kind of weird. We were really bummed we didn't bring our passport, but we also didn't think this road is going to be open. It's okay. No regrets. But what's really cool about this area in general is that it's a meeting point for lots of different, again, ecological things. And so there's a triple continental divide, and there's a mountain where you can literally look down and see all of the major rivers that go to all of the different waterways within the United States, and then up and through, ending in the Hudson Bay above Canada, which is super cool.
And they said it was like a palm's length for a water droplet that can determine whether it goes to like the Hudson or the Pacific.
If you're standing at the top of the Triple Divide peak, you can like go like this across, and you can see where the rain is going to go, where the water is going to go, which is super fun. Again, probably not going to be able to hike up there this trip. That's probably a bigger adventure for us. Yeah. But we've already determined that this is not the last time we're going to be here by any means.
No.
This is nuts! Gosh. So most people hike and bike Glacier, and we're driving Glacier. So this is definitely just a little sneak peek for us.
There's too much to see.
Too much to see, and we could probably backpack back here forever. So once Stevie gets up to speed, we're probably going to come backpack the crap out of this thing.
And the season's right, because that's
it's a little cold right now.
We had to get gloves yesterday. We're going to talk about gear today.
Yeah, we did a big gear haul when we were in Kalispell, Montana.
Yes, Kalispell, Montana. We spent the most time there than we have anywhere in terms of civilization on this trip. We've mostly been at campsites, and we spent a night there to do laundry, and I had work to do. And so we got to experience a little bit of the town in Montana.
Yeah.
Everything out here has huckleberry in it. That was a thing that we noticed in Stanley, Idaho. There's like a whole huckleberry section for like Stanley huckleberry licorice and Stanley huckleberry honey.
Why do you say it like that?
I was like huckleberry, what? And so I looked it up, and it said huckleberry was from like the Appalachian area in terms of like area of origin. That's why I was like, I don't know. I have no idea why everything is huckleberry.
Dude.
Wow.
Dude.
I'm so glad this was open.
This is a special treat, my dudes. We've been really lucky. We were talking about the combination of preparedness and luck. And obviously we were, or maybe not obviously, but we were really prepared for basically anything to happen on this trip, both like emotionally and gear-wise. But the luck of the weather has been absolutely phenomenal.
We pulled up to a campsite in Montana at, what lake was that?
It was Lake Holland.
Lake Holland Lake?
Holland Lake, yeah.
Something like that. And we pulled up and it was snowing and raining, and the moment we got out of the car, it stopped. And it didn't start raining again until night. Whoa, that's
Whoa, do you see that?
Oh, man. It's going to be so tempting, like, to pull over and say, screw this podcast.
This water is crystal clear. And again, that's probably something that should make sense, but my brain can't handle that.
It's like
this is
straight
just
up
pure glacier water.
It's straight up glacial water, which is, I don't know if I've seen to
Why
this
would
level.
Why would we have? Where would we have?
There are no glaciers in LA?
No, not at all.
But in terms of gear for this next leg, part of stopping in Kalispell was this REI sale that was happening.
The annual sale.
It's 20% off on Friday.
It's like a week.
Whatever. Oh, it's a whole week?
Yeah.
Okay. And so we had gotten a gift card from my sister, thank you, Catherine, for graduation. And we were like, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to stop, because Marcella found out that there was an REI right by where we were staying in Kalispell.
And then we pulled up and it was in the same parking lot.
Yep. And so we had basically planned the first 5 days of the trip. We were living in the car, and we were able to figure out what we needed or wanted to improve the quality of the rest of the trip.
Yep.
And so we were able to go with that gift card REI with the discount and get a bunch of new stuff that we actually will use and will benefit the rest of the experience, instead of us just spending money to spend money. And this stuff will last us now for any other car camping trip. So
we got gloves, and I got a buff thing. Where's my little buff thing? Love this thing. Kept me warm. That's my bonnet. Because it was gonna be cold. Stevie's got his new Patagucci, but
which is why I promise
cold.
I'm not wearing the same fit under this every time. And I'm trying not to be crusty, but I mean, this thing has kept me so warm. And again, I wanted it because I was like, I want to look like a sheep. This is cute. But this is, I mean, it has really kept me warm. So it's been a huge advantage. And it has a hood too.
So Stevie's been warm, but Marcella's been a little less warm. And so we figured out how to layer my stuff up. But having gloves, and this is like a merino wool buff to keep my head, ears, neck cold, has been super nice. Everything REI branded was basically on sale, which was really awesome.
Yeah, that's where our gloves are, right?
And I don't know, the outdoorsy community REI brand can sometimes be like generic. It's like the equivalent of going to Kirkland or something, but like,
don't hate on Kirkland.
Don't hate. I was like, one, I don't hate on Kirkland, and two, I don't hate on REI. I think it's fantastic.
This is a campsite.
This is a campsite. Damn.
Oh, I think it's closed up here.
Is it? Dang. Well,
That's
friends,
That's okay.
This was a treat because this was phenomenal. We're gonna loop back around so you can see how pretty it's going the other way too.
We can drive through the campsite and just see what it looks like on the way out.
Can we?
Yeah.
I don't know if we can. I'm looking up there.
Oh, I see. Yeah. But yeah, this road goes all the way through the middle of the park and up to these incredible mountains.
That's a bus stop, picnic area. It says the campsite's closed, so I think the road's gonna be closed.
Yeah.
Should I just whip a Yui here instead of dealing with this?
Potentially.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll show you some of this lake though on our way back, because
Lake McDonald.
Yeah, the incredible views do not stop, so that's okay. But I'm satisfied that we were able to see some new stuff.
Yes. Oh, that was so fun. We were, man, as far as we could go. That's what we said.
Yep. And we pushed it. We went back here yesterday, and I was like, I gotta know if that road is closed or not. I don't care if it is. I gotta drive. And so that was worth it. But back to the REI stuff.
Yes. So got a lot of REI gear.
New water container. That fits a lot better in the car, because that's something we've like kind of placing the Tetris blocks in the car correctly in a way that makes sense has been important. So our new water container, it definitely has improved our space.
I don't know if you can see it in the back, in the angle, but I've got this giant blue water jug, and I had an emotional reaction when we went to go give it to a thrift store. So it's in the car right now because I have trouble letting go of things. And I've had that water jug forever. My mom and I were laughing on the phone. She was like, why didn't you just give it to REI? And I was like, dude, I don't know.
Yeah. So we'll see maybe if our friends want it or something.
If anybody wants it.
Or if Marcella could lose the attachment to it in the next day.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
But I understand. I mean, we were talking about yesterday, the things that I feel like I'm nostalgic about from childhood and on can come in any shape or form.
It's true. And it's a water jug that's just old plastic that I should probably get rid of. But I don't know. I grew up camping and that water jug's been on many experiences, and so I'll probably get rid of it in a minute. But I'll acknowledge it. Oh gosh, thank goodness. Oh my goodness.
These little rodents.
Yeah, sorry, that was a squirrel that just ran into the middle of the road. It was super cute though. But he turned around.
That was I think the only thing I've killed on the road before was that little chipmunk thing in Ponderosa.
Yeah.
Up by Big Sur. It like came into the middle of the road, it turned around, we went back in the grass and it ran back out and I ran over it. That was a tough one.
I'm laughing because I was remembering Stevie's distraughtness about it all. He was like, what do I do? I'm like, literally nothing. It's already done. God. My goodness.
I'm like, I just want to park.
I know. But we're about to see so much more. So what we're doing is we're turning around, and we're going to the eastern side of the park. So we're in West Glacier right now. We came in through, is it the
Camas Road.
Camas Road is the way we came in.
And that was closed previously and opened up. Wow.
I know.
And opened up yesterday. And so we had come in a way that we didn't know we'd be able to.
Yes, and it wasn't
really
paved.
Cool.
It was
really cool.
Yeah, and so if you have a car that can handle not being on paved, highly recommend coming in that way if you're coming the west way. But now we're going back on the more what's the paved road, the highway that goes around the park. Yeah, the two. And so we're gonna go around to the east end today, and we'll see what we can see. And so we missed the grand entrance of Glacier. I say that in air quotes, but I'm driving. But the way that people typically come in is through the two from Kalispell. And so you see this incredibleness behind us. But what we liked about Camas Road is that you got to see the range that's behind these incredible mountains. And it's so deep and it's so far. And
you can see straight into Canada.
We can see straight into Canada, and it was phenomenal. 10 out of 10 recommend. 10 out of 10 recommend this whole trip. But
yeah, I mean, we talked about it. It's also the sense of whatever the version of this is for you, you should definitely do it. You may not be a car camping, going into the outdoors kind of person, but if you can give yourself 20 days to do whatever you like to do, that is very important. And again, that's totally a privilege, being able to have the time to do something like this. So if you can budget that time for yourself, it's highly recommended, because this trip alone will improve our quality of life significantly going forward, I'm sure. But we got bear spray.
We did get bear spray. We were like, should we get bear spray? We were like, we should get bear spray.
I was like, I don't know. And then
we saw bear. Although Stevie's a little on the fence about hiking later today, so we'll see how that goes. So speaking of random gear that we have, there are coyotes in Altadena. And there are coyotes basically everywhere to some extent in the United States. We love coyotes.
Yeah, coyotes are great.
No coyote hate.
No.
And the riddick and gray, anything.
But my mom got my brother, sister, and I these flashlights that have a taser at the top of them.
At the bottom of them?
At the top, they're at the front. And so the light can come out on the top, then you flip a switch, and then instead of light, it's a taser.
Cool.
And so my mom got those for us with the thought of we could tase the coyotes if we ever got into a coyote encounter. That's an unlikely experience. Yes. / might make the coyote more aggressive than it would have been. And so now the thought is having the taser on a hike as just a sound to scare away a mountain lion or a bear or whatever might be more useful than actually trying to tase anything. And so we have the taser flashlight, we have the bear spray, and then we have a horn.
A horn, yeah.
And so I think with those things combined, I'm not too worried, especially if Walter is on our back, because that's something else that I would want to have in the animal encounter thing. I wouldn't want Walter to be on leash. And so with those things combined, I feel fairly safe going on a hike, especially because the bears here are used to people. And so as long as we don't have like food on us and the bears and sniffing us out, I'm not too concerned. But I am definitely concerned in general because
Walter was growling at the bear yesterday out the back of the car. I was like, Walter, you gotta shut up, dude.
Yeah. And the fact that we've seen 2 bears so close to campsites when I'm sure there are bears all up in this place, that just means the chances of a bear encounter are a lot higher than anywhere we've ever been in our lives, probably.
But we think we saw a brown bear.
Yeah, there are grizzlies up here.
There are grizzlies up here, which
And
I would kill to see.
I honestly am so excited at the chance to see a grizzly because...
But the ibex would also be super cool, but I don't think we're going...
Yeah, the mountain goats are way up, and so who knows? I mean, I've never been here before, so...
That's true. I didn't think we were going to see a bear, and we saw a bear off the side of the road, so...
I think...
Okay, wait, so we're passing by the lodges, and so I didn't understand what Glacier was. I didn't understand until we drove up in it yesterday. But there are a couple areas where the massive, massive lodges, and so even if you're not a camper, a backpacker, a hiker, a biker, there are these massive lodges, and I think that that's also part of what Glacier is known for, is that you can have this kind of bougie experience in this immaculate nature space. And there's an airport literally right outside. It's Glacier International Airport. And so if you don't want to drive 25 hours up here from Los Angeles or wherever you're watching this from, there are other ways to access Glacier National Park.
And if you don't want to sleep in potentially below 30-degree temperatures in your car or a tent, which would be far worse in my opinion.
Oh, man. Look at that.
Look at that. Wow.
Lake McDonald. Killing it.
Yeah, grizzlies would be happy to see. Grizzlies used to be a lot more places in the United States, California included. Now they are not. They were kind of brought to the brink in a lot of places.
Kind of.
And have now...
Look at all this
are now only
traffic.
Found. Yeah, everyone's headed. That road's open. I think everyone's trying to go as far as they can. But yeah, grizzlies now hug the border, and then obviously are up in Alaska as well, but all throughout Canada as well, but not as much in the U.S. anymore.
Well, we're trying to stay as present as possible for the next 15 days that we have left. We are definitely already thinking about our next adventure, and we're really excited to go to Alaska. So
Alaska is, as somebody who, I guess this may be the 3rd time now I have mentioned the Pleistocene, as somebody who has always been obsessed with the Ice Age because of the La Brea tar pits and whatnot, something that is super fun for me to think about is the specific species that exist in these regions of the world up north are kind of the closest things. Oh,
there's a lot happening.
Yeah, there's a lot happening. But the species that are up in these areas where it's super cold and icy are kind of the last living relatives of the Pleistocene things that had adapted to the Ice Age.
And that's part of what we were mentioning earlier about the Triple Continental Divide, is that all of these animals, this is equivalently a meeting point in nature where a lot of the animals from the Pacific Northwest make their way out here. All of the prairie animals from the northeastern direction can meet here. All of the Canadian animals from up north can meet here. And so it's really interesting from just big nerd science perspective of how all of these ecosystems can and are supposed to interact.
Yeah. The historical relevance is legit. What else do you want to talk about on this one? We were planning, we were talking about things we wanted to talk about, and then we saw the road was open. We're like, oh crap!
Yeah, we gotta go.
Threw this stuff on, so we're a little less prepared.
I don't think we're less prepared. I think we've got all the things we want to talk about.
Is there anything cool in here?
Probably. There's a lot of cool stuff in the maps. We don't know any of the trees up here, which is kind of...
No, we've been seeing ponderosa pines for like 2.5 states now. And then we're like, wait, these aren't ponderosa
These are
pines.
not ponderosa pines.
Okay, let's see. This is one of the few places in North America where all the native carnivores survive. Grizzly and black bears forage.
So we saw a black bear, not a brown bear.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I had forgotten that I had learned is that black bears aren't always like jet black.
Dude,
So-
what?
Yeah. Let's see.
Well, while Stevie's reading that, one of the things that we wanted to talk about in terms of gear, in terms of this journey, is transitions and how transitions are exciting and terrifying, all of the above. Look at all these bikes.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
all these bikes holding up cars too.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's Saturday, right?
it is Saturday.
There we go. I'm like, everyone's taking their Saturday trips out from Whitefish and Kalispell. That would be nice.
Look
We were
at
talking about
you.
this. Growing up in this area of Montana, it would probably be pretty cool having access to this park. I'm sure a lot of people come out here just from home.
I mean, even just
30
the
minutes
road.
away.
Yeah, even the road we took in, we just saw people that had driven up and parked just an hour out and hung out, and I presume they were going home after. And that sounds really nice. We're
Yeah.
like, man, we would have done a lot more nature dates.
The reflection on the water of this snow-capped mountain. Ooh. Oh, so transitions.
Yeah, but also like going back in time again is so fun. Going from 90-degree, 100-degree weather to 20 degrees and snow just by going north. Obviously, that's how weather and the planet works, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Feels
we
like we're
haven't-
going back in time.
We haven't really experienced snow in 2
In a
years.
minute, yeah.
And so it was like one of my favorite things about Colorado was the snow, and everyone always said like, "Oh, you're gonna get tired of it eventually."
You're gonna get tired of it eventually.
And I truly never did. Even when I was driving down to Denver unsafely in snow to get to school, I was like hyped and terrified at the same time.
But I think part of our experience in Colorado is that it was a massive transition always.
Oh yeah.
I feel like we never settled in Colorado the way we wanted to, and by the time we were about to settle,
We left.
pandemic happened.
Yeah, we had briefly put, I was not very happy to be there for a decent bit of the experience. Some parts were really exciting, some parts were not so exciting, but it never really felt like home to me. And then our school year there, I had finally kind of accepted it, and I was excited to be there, and I worked on myself, fixed the things I didn't like about Stevie so that Stevie could enjoy places that he might not otherwise enjoy at a base level. And I was having a good time. And I was like, okay, I'll be here for 2 more years. Like, this is going to be a good time. I'm like settled. I like our life here. And then we decided I was going to transfer pre-pandemic. We were changing everything again.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is pretty funny to think that, at least for our college experience and pre-college experience, every kind of 2 years in our lives for the last decade have been transformative in some way.
We always say that we're moving and grooving, and so we've been struggling a little bit since graduation and getting to graduation. Everybody's like, oh my God, you deserve this. You've done so much. You've worked so hard. And accepting that has been super weird. And so we knew that this trip would be really important in coming to a place of acceptance and grounding in the next phase of our life, because transitions are weird. And we've been in a constant state of transition for a very long time.
At least the last 6 years, but I mean, since we met when I was 9 and you were 10. And I mean, shoot, the transitions that are happening mentally.
I was like, are you talking about puberty, dude?
Well, just in terms of like the school experience alone.
That's fair.
But
I left
sure, puberty too.
I left my school. I left my elementary school before, I left at a weird time. Like, I didn't, quote unquote, graduate elementary school with my class, and so I was one of 2 new people going into our elementary school.
And the school that I had been there since the 1st grade, the school we met, and there's only 1 class per grade.
Yeah.
And there were only at max like 30 people in the class.
I mean,
And
we
so,
were one of the smallest classes.
Yeah. And so I started there in the 1st, and I was 5, and most of the people I met that year went until the 8th grade as well. And so it was almost like having a separate little family.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't, I mean, I still feel very connected, although we haven't seen them in
It's
a
our
while.
10th anniversary.
Our 10th graduation anniversary.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's our 10th anniversary as
Oh,
well.
us.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I meant of the class.
The graduation,
The
yeah.
graduation, yes.
And so, yeah, we met at a really interesting point in both of our kind of paths.
In
but-
puberty.
In puberty. And then went to different high schools, and that was a transition, but stayed together, and then went to the same college, which is a huge transition. Then 2 years into that, we went on semester at C.
We moved in at some point in that. We got a dog at some point in that. Everything's just been moving, which I think
then
for
I switched
us,
schools.
Then you switch schools. But I think in general, we've learned that we are adaptable in that way. Obviously, it's a little bit more exhausting. We're trying to figure out a way of balance in all of that chaos.
Yeah.
But our ability to adapt and be mobile and flexible in that way is also pretty cool.
It's exciting to know that we can change together as well. I think that's something that always, like, subconsciously might have scared me, is the thought of, like, if all of these things are changing so often, will we change in different directions?
Yeah.
And
one of the decisions that we made in deciding to go to college together was that if we're going to grow in whatever direction, we might as well figure out what that looks like together.
Yeah.
And that commitment, I think, was a lot for a lot of different people in our lives, for 17-year-olds to make that kind of commitment.
We did get a lot of, and our parents have always been more than supportive of our
100%.
relationship. I think out of all the adults in our lives, they've been the most like, yeah, like, do it, like, do what you want to do for yourselves and each other. And that respect has been really amazing. And they drove us around before we could drive. Like, they have been just as committed to helping us thrive as anybody. And so that has always been an incredible level of support that we've had. Wow, there's a lot of people. But a lot of different adults in our lives outside of our families have always given us some interesting points of advice of, like, hey, maybe you want to go to college alone so you can experience your own things. And we've gotten that advice at different points. We've got somebody, and obviously we're not going to, like, start naming names here, but somebody had mentioned that recently to one of us, which I thought was funny. Or just kind of weird, because we hadn't heard that in a while, and was like, oh, people are still trying to play these games with us.
And thinking about intentions of kind of our theme from last one is that I think people always mean well.
Yeah,
and
100%.
Every piece of advice that comes from different people in different avenues and corners of our lives always comes with good intentions.
It was easier for me to be more upset about that kind of stuff when we were younger. So I'd be like, you just don't understand, you know? Like, but now I'm just like, okay, like, I'm just let that one
Just
go.
let people be.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I appreciate the advice, the unsolicited advice.
That was a dead squirrel.
That was a dead squirrel. But we didn't do it.
You're the word.
But yeah, unsolicited advice can sometimes be very helpful. And even if we don't agree with it, it's always nice to hear some different opinions. But I like how we've been moving and grooving.
We have been moving and grooving, and I don't know, the past 6 years, we are not the same people in any way, shape, or form.
And I'm glad. I feel like I have died and been reborn.
Dramatic.
No, but like every 2 years, truly, because I don't recognize the Stevie from 2 years ago at all. Like, I don't remember what it felt like to be that guy. And I think the pandemic gave a lot of people that experience, but having already gone through basically 3 of those before the pandemic started, I was like ready. I just like sat back and relaxed for the pandemic. So I was like, oh, this shit again? Like, easy. I was like,
dramatic.
But it's been weird to reflect on the different versions of myself that have come and gone just in the last 6 years of college alone. Because I have changed significantly for the better. For, I think, myself and everyone around me, probably. Which makes me happy. But then it's also more embarrassing to look back on, like, Stevie at the beginning of college and be like, wow, that guy was so confused.
But I think you're supposed to be, to a degree.
That's true.
I think that college is such, like, a big part of our culture and society because it's a place where people figure out what they want, who they are, all of the things. And for some people, that's a terrifying experience. And for other people, it's a terrifying experience and they're in denial. So
I think that's what made it so hard to dislike the beginning of college, because having 2 older siblings, I kind of had the mentality of, like, I was always kind of skipping where we were in the present, being excited for the future.
Yeah.
And so all I thought about in high school was college. I was like, I'm going to get these grades to get me into whatever school I need to get into. Basically whatever school Marcella because Marcel's always been like a better student in terms of like everything. I was like, Marcel's going to try to get in some hard schools. I'll be able to like get in as well. And I was super nervous all throughout high school of like what college was going to be for the both of us and just all of the things, but so excited to go. And so I was like, high school, skip. In my head, I was like, let me get to college. And then showed up to college and was like immediately kind of disappointed with what it was. I think I had this kind of grand vision, and I think, like you said, with the way we kind of look at college in the US, it's like this, holy crap, everything cool is going to happen here. You're going to be free for the first time. And to some extent, all those things are true. And it's also just, it's more stuff, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if you're not super happy as an individual, then college isn't really going to change any of your baseline experience. You're just going to be the same person in a new environment, which can, again, be very overwhelming.
Yeah. But that's where people grow. And
Yeah.
I think that's the part about college that's really exciting.
That's true. And that did lead to a lot of growth.
I also don't think that college is for everyone, in the sense of I had some tough experiences in college, and I don't know if I would, quote unquote, recommend it to everybody for everything. I think that there are a lot of avenues to get to people's like end goals that aren't a traditional 4-year college experience.
For sure.
And that's not talked about often enough, but that's also not what we should probably talk about for the next 15 minutes is
No.
my hot takes on college and higher education system.
We're in a weird transitional place too, where for like 3 generations, the entire goal of families was to like get all your kids through college or give your kids that next level from whatever you had.
Mm-hmm.
And now the rhetoric is shifting to like, oh, not everyone needs to go to college. And like, that can be a confusing thing to hear if you are a kid in high school.
And statistically, like going to college and student debt has put, again, specifically my experience with the Black community and that research of it's not helping our generational wealth because everybody's going to college and everybody has student loans that they can't get out of because that system is...
It's not great.
Yeah.
It's not great at all. There's trillions of dollars of student loan debt, and that is going to take away a lot of upward mobility from millions of young people to buy homes, to even rent, like all of the
So yes,
all the things.
the economics of it all, again, I could rant about for another 45 minutes. So we can transition slightly away from
We're going to
college.
East Glacier.
We're going to East
transitioning
Glacier.
onto a new road.
Transitions, yes.
We got about 13 minutes left with those GoPros.
What is
Yes.
one of the things you think you're going to miss the most about, in this transition, what are you going to miss the most about the collegiate experience? I think I have an answer.
I think I really like learning.
Yeah.
And obviously, everyone says, this is like a constant thing that everyone says, like, you can learn nowadays online. School isn't even as important as it used to be. And sure, that's true. A lot of the stuff that I enjoy talking about and the nerdy stuff that I bother Marcelo with on a daily basis comes from outside of school.
Mm-hmm.
But having the dedicated time to learn and be in a class with experts in a field is so valuable, and having designated time to study and grow in a specific direction is super important. So not having that anymore, and kind of the idea of like, okay, now anything you learn, it's up to you. And that's kind of how people become complacent and stop learning and wanting to learn more in their lives. It's like, okay, I graduated, I got my degree, I did the thing, now I don't care about learning anymore.
Yeah.
And I think especially with the idea of work-life balance and like working 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, that
Boo.
Yeah, boo. But that kind of restricts you from actively seeking out more cool things to learn because you have less of a reason to. There's not as much incentive to learn after you graduate from school. So I'm gonna miss that like inherent incentive to learn.
Mm-hmm. Another squirrel. Yeah,
squirrel
another
too.
squirrel almost ran out on the road. He had a big fat meal. He wasn't ready to lose it.
So what about you?
I think it's people. I think that the communities I've been able to find and help develop and foster in all of the various higher education institutions have, one, made it worth it, and two, I'm going to miss a lot. I think that the relationships I've been able to develop are really special to me, and I'm absolutely terrified of losing those.
Yeah.
And losing that connection with people, because adult friendships are hard, and I think that I've been able to do it to a degree with some of my folks from Colorado, but there's definitely a lot of relationships in all different corners and transitions of my life that I wish I could continue to foster, you know?
And there's a different, again, with technology, there's like a different, I guess, interaction you can have long term with people, but it's still not like a friendship.
And it's different than living down the street from people.
Yeah. And so it's like, sure, I can see what friends from Colorado are doing on Instagram, but I'm not really engaging with them in the same way as I would be in person. And I think that's something that Zoom University nailed in as a hardcore truth. Is like, okay, sure, on Zoom U, we were all in lockdown, so we had that same experience, but with online interaction outside of the lockdown, when we all have real things to do outside of the computer, fostering that same kind of deep relationship doesn't work as well.
No.
And so it is hard to imagine, out of especially our recent cohort that we all met on Zoom, how do you keep 70 different friendships strong? And even the last 2 semesters, that was a question that I was trying to answer. And so now that we're graduating, it's weird to think about how all of these interpersonal relationships will continue to evolve. And wow.
So yeah, I think people are the biggest thing. I will not miss the politics of higher ed and the systems and the slow moving bureaucracy, all that crap. Nah, I'll leave that.
It also, speaking of learning in higher education, it's thinking of incentives to learn. Even with higher education being an inherent incentive to learn, the way that you are tasked with learning,
so tough. Homework is down.
Yeah, it's not very productive for students, especially if you have GEs, you have like multiple classes to take outside of the field of study that you've specifically gone into the school to pursue. It doesn't leave you a lot of time to focus on the thing that you're there for. And so that's definitely something that I'm not going to miss. But I am going to miss the schedule. Having like summer breaks, having winter break, like designated breaks throughout the year, like kind of measuring. I mean, we've been measuring time by semesters and school years for 24 years.
I feel like that doesn't freak me out. I feel like we started this podcast talking about what you do and how you budget your time for your existence. And I'm very excited to not have that restrictive of a schedule to wrap my head around. 100%.
You just have to, I mean, it's how you approach accepting a job to some extent.
Fair,
because you don't really, you lose that autonomy when you sign up for full-time work.
Well, I haven't signed up for full-time work because of that.
There you go. And so part of Riddick and Gray, and the excitement for Riddick and Gray being more real, I was like, I guess this is the best way to put it, but the more clients and contracts we get, the more autonomy we have to spend our time together, but also plan our lives in a way that fits our schedule more. That's
Definitely.
something that, but it's more risky than accepting full-time work that kind of gives you all the things you need to some extent, including health insurance.
Health insurance.
Another thing, a system.
My accident-prone ass. I was peeing in the bathroom this morning and felt my ankle was kind of sore. I was like, oh no.
Might have been from sleeping.
That's true.
Last night, we've been sleeping with a dog in the back the last 2 nights because it's been colder. And I can't say I've been the most comfortable because I'm I'm quite a bit taller than you. And so.
Okay, that's a little dramatic.
My legs don't really fit as well as yours do.
You're also short.
Compared to normal people.
Yes.
But between the two of us, I'm tall. So that's something I'll have to figure out in terms of pain. But still have gotten better quality sleep than we got before the platform.
Yeah, which has been really cool.
Overall, still an improvement. 100%. All right.
This is phenomenal.
It is. We got 6 minutes. What do we want to close it out on?
Did we have any other questions that we pulled out, or did I leave them in the phone?
They're left in the phone.
That's awkward.
What's a question that people always ask us that we can answer once and for all? Because I feel like we get a lot of questions.
pants in a relationship is a stupid
Oh
ass
my gosh.
gender
Oh my
construct.
gosh.
Get your heads
Who
out of
wears
boxes.
the pants?
Yeah.
Yikes. I think it's something, especially being Stevie Gray.
What
Because
does that mean?
a lot of people have met us at the same time throughout our
Interesting.
lives.
Yeah.
And
Okay, I got
Marcella
you.
has always been a very strong force in a lot of ways. I am what you can call, and again, gendering minds and ways of life stupid as hell. But for lack of a better word, I am fairly effeminate. I've always been in touch with my feelings. And again, why is that a trait that is lumped with the sex? I don't know. But point being, I think we've always kind of had this weird perception of us because of our two different personalities. And that is always a question that we got when we were younger, mostly. I feel like, unless I haven't gotten it super recently, but like the who wears the pants concept is stupid. It's so stupid.
And until I was the super tomboy, did all the sports, blah, 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 blah. Like, that's just, like, that's who I was growing up in terms of, like, being outside of the traditional gender constructs, and always got in trouble because I didn't like boys, and I didn't want to wear skirts and dresses, and makeup was dumb. Like, all the things, like, that was just not my life. And then we found a stash of photos of Stevie in tutus and tiaras.
Tiaras?
Ugh.
I don't know. I would bring like pink pencil cases to school and get clowned on so hard.
Yeah. That's a dumb one that we can quell for now and all times.
Because I think a relationship, like, you're both doing, the relationship is one thing and you're both participating.
Oh, there's a train.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
But the concept of, like, one person wearing the pants or, like, one person steering the ship is inherently flawed, because then you're not really having a cohesive relationship. And I think that's why I like
it's rooted in the patriarchy and toxic masculinity, and get rid of that shit.
But also, that's I think why I like the term life partners more than I like boyfriend, girlfriend, or husband, wife. It's like life.
Ooh. Do you see that?
Oh yeah.
That's a little boy.
Oh
These
yeah.
little antlers.
Uh-huh.
Sorry.
But I do like the idea of life partnership more, because the word partnership is so much more useful.
Yeah.
In a way to describe a lifelong commitment.
And we've always hated labels like that.
Yeah, but you're both steering your ship as the relationship.
Oh my god.
So I just keep walking into these freaking puns. But you're both steering the relationship in the direction that works for the both of you, because you're partners. Nobody should be wearing the whatevers. You should both be doing the things together and making those decisions, because they're lifelong decisions, they're long-term decisions. Make them together and talk through them early so that you're both on the same page from the jump. Maybe we shouldn't have been talking about marriage when we were in the 8th grade. And maybe we were talking about it from more of an 8th grader perspective, but we definitely had the end goal in mind fairly early, and I think that's helped us make a lot of our long-term decisions easier, because it's like there are no surprises if you already know who you're in a partnership with.
Yeah.
And that helps a lot to be like, yeah, I know what Marcella wants to do in her life, and I want to do those things too. So any decision we make together works for the both of us for that reason. And if it doesn't, we'll talk about it.
And as those things shift and change, that conversation becomes easier. And so obviously I'm not going to vet school to be a zoo vet anymore, and that's not the path that I'm on anymore. But however it continues to shift, I know that we're on the same page. 100%. And that's just a part of communication.
And that's why I think you're cool.
You're cool.
Thanks.
You're welcome. We did it. Transitions.
We're at 44 minutes and 18 seconds.
It's going to cut us off soon, so I'm trying to get a nice little final view for everybody. But if that doesn't happen, thank you so much for being on the road with us today. Wish us, oh my God.
Wow.
What? Oh my gosh, the GoPro being forward really just screwed y'all. Wow.
You're great.
You're great. Keep doing great things.
You got this day, whatever you're doing today.
Yes.
Have a good one.
Wish us luck in finding another campsite, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye-bye.